Hello everyone, my name is Erbin Crowell and I'm a proud member of Willimantic Food Co-op since my days living in nearby Rhode Island when my family and I would drive over to do our regular shopping. And while I live in Western Massachusetts now, I still consider you all to be my home co-op. I also serve as executive director of the neighboring Food Co-op Association, which is a regional cooperative of food co-ops that was founded a little over a decade ago by co-ops including Willimantic to provide a forum and network for collaboration, co-op development, and mutual support. So I really appreciate this opportunity to share a few words with you all at your annual meeting. But first, I just want to thank you, the members, directors, managers, and staff of Willimantic Food Co-op for all of your commitment and collaboration, especially over these past couple of years as you've worked to keep people healthy, safe, and nourished. A cooperative is a group effort, of course, and since 1980, your food co-op has put people before profit. And through your resilience and success, you've expanded community ownership and infrastructure, contributed to a more healthy, just, and sustainable food system, and worked with other co-ops and credit unions to build a more inclusive, cooperative economy that works for everyone. These are no small things that you've accomplished together. And as you celebrate, I want to remind you that you're also part of something bigger. As a member of the NFCA, your food co-op has contributed to the shared success of food co-ops across our region and helped to grow the next generation of startups, including two that are planning to open later this year. You're also helping to communicate our shared impact to policymakers and the public. Our cooperative federation of more than 40 food co-ops and startups is locally owned by more than 168,000 people like you across the Northeast. We employ more than 2,450 people, 60% of whom are also members, sharing in the ownership of their local grocery store. And because our co-ops are not driven by profit, because they operate in a not-for-profit manner, we've been able to continue to serve our members and communities in unique ways during the pandemic. For example, in 2021, we generated $395 million in shared revenue, and more than 25% of sales were local products, demonstrating our commitment to our regional economy. And during a very challenging year, we gave almost $11 million back to our communities in the form of need-based employee and member discounts, patronage refunds, and community donations. Now, a central piece of our work together is using this shared strength to increase the individual success of our member co-ops and grow our collective impact. It's essentially the heart of the sixth cooperative principle of cooperation among co-ops, which recognizes that just as your local co-op helps people to work together to help each other and do great things, our co-ops can work together to expand our impact to even more people. So the NFCA was established when Willimantic Food Co-op joined with other co-ops across the Northeast to create a shared vision for a thriving cooperative economy rooted in a healthy, just, and sustainable food system and a vibrant community of cooperative enterprise. And you've helped play a direct role in helping us advance that mission of leveraging our collective resources for shared success and supporting growth and innovation through collaboration, education, and partnerships. In addition to participation in networking, training, and other events, staff at Willimantic have played direct roles in helping new co-ops get off the ground, such as Erbin Green's Co-op Market, which opened in Providence in 2019. And I'd certainly be remiss if I did not specifically acknowledge Kathleen Kreider's role on our board of directors and Joanne Todd's past contributions as a director on the board of NFCA. At the core of our work is the knowledge that cooperatives are more successful when they share resources, information, and innovation. By working together, we can increase our impact on the local economy and better meet member and community needs. There are many areas where Willimantic has worked with our association to build shared success, but where I'd like to focus today is on the example of policy advocacy. As you'll be discussing at today's meeting, Willimantic played a crucial role in our collaborative effort to update Connecticut's co-op statute back in 2019. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, to answer that question, I just want to take you back in time a little bit. So when we think about the role of co-ops as a viable democratic economic alternative, I think it's important to first put them in the context of diverse traditions of mutual aid that are familiar around the world, such as indigenous landholding traditions, models of common ownership, collective agricultural activities, fraternal organizations, and many, many experiments in cooperative enterprise. The challenge that so many of these traditions have faced is legal recognition. And while there are many strands to the cooperative movement, the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers, founded in the north of England in 1844, is often credited with assembling various practices into a successful set of operating rules for co-ops. And while their broader vision was for a cooperative society or commonwealth, they were also very practical and focused on addressing food and economic insecurity needs in their communities through a different way of doing business, one that empowered people through self-help and self-responsibility, and that was fundamentally democratic, equitable, and guided by people's shared needs and goals. And also a model that could compete successfully with much larger investor-owned models that were driven by maximization of profit. It's also important to note that this humble food co-op never went out of business, but rather became part of what is known today as the Cooperative Group in the UK, with over 4 million members and 65,000 employees. For our purposes, it's also useful to note that the Rochdale Society was not technically a co-op yet. Rather, like many other experiments in cooperation in the UK at that time, they were incorporated as what's known as a friendly society, or might be known now as a mutual aid organization. Now, what's wrong with that? Well, what the pioneers discovered was that these statutes did not provide legal protection for the cooperative or for its members. Business could only be done with members of the co-op, and patronage refunds, one of the key planks of cooperative operation today, could not be distributed among members. And as a consequence, many of these organizations either failed or were broken up in order to distribute accumulated resources. So the pioneers set about working with other activists to advocate for legal recognition of their model. The Industrial and Provident Societies Act of 1852 was the first legal statute to recognize cooperative rules, including democratic member control, the status of women as full voting members of the cooperative, patronage refunds, and limited returns on investment. The result of this recognition was a dramatic expansion of the cooperative movement and the establishment of similar statutes internationally. These operating rules also were adopted by the International Cooperative Alliance when it formed in 1895, and they have been periodically updated to remain relevant to the challenges and opportunities that we face in our own times. The latest version was adopted in 1995 and is formally recognized by many national governments as well as international organizations such as the United Nations. So, to flash forward a little bit closer to present, in 2015, as a result of similar organizing in the United States, all states in the Northeast have had co-op statutes in place for decades. And as part of our mission of growing cooperative enterprise, the NFCA secured a grant with the New England Farmers Union designed in part to conduct an analysis of the state's cooperative statute and any obstacles it presented to existing co-ops and startups. And what we discovered was outdated provisions that unnecessarily discouraged people from forming co-ops and sometimes incorporating under other statutes or even in other states. These challenges included individual member liability for debts, limitations on the ability to raise capital, and also on the ability to distribute surplus. So as a solution, we worked with attorney Dave Swanson of Dorsey LLP to draft proposed amendments. And Dave and Dorsey have a whole specialized wing that works on cooperative statutes and have been partners in a lot of our startup work. So among the proposed amendments, we're making it easier to form a cooperative by reducing the number of incorporators required from 7 to 3 people. This is very similar to other statutes in our region. Putting co-ops on equal footing with other corporations in the state of Connecticut by removing individual liability of members for debts, clarifying that member shares have par or cash value, increasing the maximum member share cost to reflect the rate of inflation and facilitate the development of cooperative associations with sufficient capital for scale and success, and providing more flexibility to the board in allocating surplus in keeping with cooperative law and practice. So with these proposed amendments in hand, directors and staff at Willimantic Food Co-op were often running quickly, opening a dialogue with Fiddleheads Food Co-op in New London on how best to go about advocating for these changes and reaching out to local legislators. They will tell you more about the story of how SB 138, an act modernizing the state's cooperative association statute, was introduced in 2019, and how all of these amendments were passed into law thanks to the advocacy of local legislators, testimony from co-op staff and members, board members, and the support of credit union partners and the National Cooperative Business Association, where I serve on the board. And while I'm certainly proud to have been able to provide testimony in this process, I was most certainly outdone by Christian Tompkins, pictured here with his mom Bonnie, when he testified at the Connecticut State House. So while they'll tell you more about this story and next steps, what I want to emphasize and appreciate is your co-op's collaborative leadership in helping to make this historic change, very much in the tradition of the pioneers and the ways that they not only introduced co-op statutes, but successfully amended them over time to facilitate cooperative development. These changes reinforce the relevance of cooperative enterprise and the legal recognition of cooperative principles. They'll not only support the growth of existing co-ops, but also encourage startups to actually incorporate as true co-ops. And in fact, we're in the process now of supporting a number of new co-ops in this process in Connecticut. And this will make the benefits of cooperation that you all have experienced in Willimantic more accessible to other communities across the state. It will also remind policymakers of the important role that co-ops play in community development and resilience. And in this process, we've also demonstrated the potential of cross-sector collaboration, particularly with the credit union sector, but also with national organizations such as the National Cooperative Business Association, in how we can work together to grow a cooperative economy that works for everyone. So with that, I want to thank you again for all of your work in Willimantic and all the ways that that work has inspired and benefited people across our region. I hope you have a fun, inspiring, and successful annual meeting. And I want to invite you all again to be part of our shared work by checking out our website, signing up for our e-news, and following us on social media. So have a great evening, and I hope to see you all in person again before too long. Thank you.